You know, I had a weird thought pop into my head not too long ago. Why doesn't Shinobi Striker already have a sequel? I mean, think about it. So many games under the Naruto name had sequels, minus the very few that were just exclusive to handhelds. Obviously, you have the Storm series. Before that, you had the Ultimate Ninja series with 5 games. Clash of Ninja deserved and got a sequel, and even one of the most obscure Naruto games had one. That was Uzumaki Chronicles, which came out in August of 2005. Then came out with a sequel just a little over a year later in November 2006. Shinobi Striker seems to take a different route though. 5 years later, we have a few additions outside of DLC, but no word of a new game being made, and players are saying they want something new. Don't get me wrong, the game is plagued with a huge modding issue, and signs of its final days are coming as each season has fewer and fewer characters. Despite this, people do enjoy this game, myself included. However, just because we enjoy it, that doesn't mean we wouldn't want to see a true upgrade after 5 years. In this video, I'm going to share some of my ideas on what I would want to see in Shinobi Striker 2. There are a lot of ideas that everyone has, and I'd love to see what everyone thinks about my ideas while sharing your own in the comments down below. While you're there, make sure to like the video and subscribe. Let's try to aim for maybe 25 likes. I'm sure we can at least nail that goal. First off, let's get an obvious thing we need out of the way. Shinobi Striker 2 would definitely need a proper anti-cheat system in place. There's plenty of reasons for this, and all of them would benefit the game and the players in the long run. The only people who would have issues with this would be God Mode modders and content creators. Obviously, the modders have got to go, but an anti-cheat system would also cause issues with unlocking all cosmetics with a save file, allowing us to have access to unreleased items, and even get rid of things like photo mode. Those 3 things are a bit huge for a lot of content creators, as having access to everything gives unlimited possibilities for builds, like my content, allows people to show off and talk about the newest items coming soon, like Ernie, Malo, and Fleaboy, and removing photo mode could cause a lot of the typical thumbnails every creator uses to no longer be possible, at least not as easily as it once was. Second is another thing I feel should be covered before we get into the actual things that would be specific to the game, and that is animation canceling and other forms of exploits. Let's make something clear. Obviously, if you can do something within the game itself and it benefits you, do it. It's going to give you that slight advantage over the opponent. However, do be aware that in a lot of games, things like this get patched out after a while. No game is ever perfect on launch. Take the time to use whatever exploits you see and enjoy it. But just know that double casting jutsu or having your animations cancel so you can increase your damage output are not things that the developers intend for you to do. One of my friends, Basimus, has a trick for Boruto's stream, and it's honestly insane. Masated is another friend who thinks that since things are in the game, they are intended features. That's not the case, sadly. If they were, I would like to see a training mode go over such things rather than every YouTuber covering it in their videos. By the way, I know I just called a couple people who I said were my friends, but I'm gonna step on everyone's toes in this video. I even called myself out. Speaking on training modes, I feel we could have a proper training mode for this game. Honestly, the tutorial we have in the game is pretty basic, and even the AI in the pit are hot garbage as they give no challenge, so why don't we change this up a bit? What if we have a special place we went to in the lobby that takes us to the training ground, like what Team 7 used for Kakashi's first test? Basically, I'm kind of imagining what Smite has for a testing area, but for Shinobi Striker instead. In here, we could have different areas that let us test things, like an area for our training dummies that let us see how much damage we do. Maybe we could have these dummies change their class roles so each one could have different health or defense stats. Another area could let us change our build without having a bot to kill us, and maybe an area could have certain characters use a jutsu so we can test things out on Sand Shield or Susanoo armor, or other things that require basic testing. Or, hear me out, custom character AI that can use any jutsu, weapons, clothing perks, everything. You can then fight a certain build one-on-one. Sure, the AI won't be able to do what humans can, but this is at least a start. Speaking on 1v1s, let's talk about new match types as well as private matchmaking. This is one that a lot of people have practically begged for. A lot of people want to go into the pits to fight, but the bots tend to get in the way and ruin things. So other players have to be involved to manage the bots as well. Why not just have a game mode for those who want to run ones? It can be only for those who are grouped up together, but I'm sure having open matchmaking could be fun for this as well. And while we're at it, why not have private matches for 4v4s so those who want to run scrims can do so easily? This could also allow people to select different maps or game modes as well as a random selection for each thing. It could definitely make things like the Shinobi Pro League run smoother, or let up to 8 friends all have fun and shit-talk each other. Moving on, I want to talk about some weekly events and some possible features. For starters, let's just get rid of red and white. Having a game mode that makes it where you can't group up with friends is just an awful idea. It's no different than NWL, and it's just completely unnecessary. Other than that, I do have ideas to maybe give some people a little more incentive to explore other kinds of builds. Recently, the developers have been keeping up with the most common jutsus used in each class, and I feel like just knowing that information is a waste. Either that, or it results in a jutsu possibly being on the chopping block for a nerf. Instead, I have 3 ideas on how that information can be used. Option 1 is a jutsu ban list rotation for events. Have certain jutsu removed for that week and force players to try something else. Another option could be a sort of jutsu ranking system. Think about it like this, if everyone runs meta jutsu, why use anything else? Maybe you can reward those who use off-the-wall builds with faster ranking through the event tiers as they grind their way to the top of S rank, while those who choose to use oboe, claws, and everything else that is known to be good can still climb to the top of the rankings, but they would have some progress deducted since they're choosing the most effective builds possible. This would leave players asking a question. Do you stay using the most popular and effective builds that will cause you to grind for much longer? Do you choose to go with something very rarely seen and fly to the top in much less time? Or do you find a middle road of meta and rogue options? The third possibility could be a mix of this idea and the jutsu ban list, but I kinda like the idea of getting rewarded for being creative more than just removing certain jutsu entirely. Next up, I think it's time we talk about the themes of the DLC seasons. These themes should just be non-existent. It's a cool idea, I get it, but everyone asks questions on why this character's in the theme when they basically don't fit it and all this other crap. You should just set a goal for 5 characters and 1 ultimate per season pass. Also, don't do early reveals for the characters. I know I got excited for Sasori being revealed, but now that we know he's coming, there's not as much hype for when he's finally released versus if we never knew about him at all. Alright, let's talk about the class system. Some characters are sorely placed in the wrong class. Shikamaru is not a healer, and the same can be said for Itachi. Or in general, if we want to think about classes, some moves are just in the wrong category entirely. Think about it. Water and Wood Dragon are reskins of the same move with different stats. Why are they in separate classes? I want to do a full dragon build, damn it. Anyway, if you go at it from jutsus alone, range and attack are very similar with a decent mix of range and up-close moves. At this point, it's mainly the weapons and some ninja tools that really separate these two classes. That should change in the sequel. Take all the actual range jutsu and put it in range class, same for ATK. Get rid of this copy-paste stuff like having Kamui on both range and defense, and don't call it a heal class. Call it something like support and give characters a non-healing weapon like a kunai instead of a heal tag. Seriously. Let's talk about another DLC option, and that is the one-off jutsu purchases. At the start of Season 6, we got told about additional DLC being added into the game that are not tied to any DLC characters, and I loved this option. Some characters just may not be able to work in this game, but the jutsu can. And this was the case for the Kage jutsu. Even though they are fairly cheap, some of these moves could definitely be effective in the right hands. But why not have a package deal for them? Why not pay for one bundle and then just download them all on release? Everyone's gonna agree with me on this next part. Moonlight scrolls are a major scam. Unfortunately, scrolls are the one thing that people have issues with, since you can't really grind to get them. We don't really mind the gambling aspect of the scrolls too much, but with no way for free-to-play players to focus on grinding them out for new items to the shop every 2 weeks, Moonlights are basically your only option if you want to get a lot of scrolls in a short time span. I'm not going to include things like the base game character scrolls since those run out, but think about Xenoverse 2 if you guys have played it. There are plenty of ways to grind TP medals. Even though it's not giving out a whole lot per mission, you can still spend a day grinding and end up with a solid reward. We need something like this in Shinobi Striker 2 for sure. One way to do that would be raid-style missions. The only experiences you really dive into are the online 4v4 or the free-for-all pit matches. This seems like a waste since in the VR missions, you have potential raid bosses like Kurama, Shikaku, Susanoo, so many things, and they're all wasted because they're stuck inside the VR missions and no one honestly will care enough to go back to them. If Shinobi Striker 2 were to improve, use these assets and set up raid missions that give out esoteric scrolls as a reward. Maybe there could also be a larger scale event that entire lobbies could get in on. chip away at the boss's health, and if it dies, then everyone who participated gets a special item. Of course, bring these raids back at some point for those who missed out on the item in the previous raids. Let's take things back to scrolls for a bit. Like I said, moonlights are a scam, but let's say you want to skip these raid missions and just pay cash. If you're gonna pay for moonlights and gamble, I feel like they should at least offer some better odds and get the SS rank items you want. Either that, or we could take a page out of Yu-Gi-Oh! Master Duel's book. When you open packs in Master Duel, you have the option to open a single pack or a stack of 10, with at least one guaranteed SR card being pulled from the 10 packs. But there's a catch, since most of the cards you want are URs rather than SRs. If you open a 10 pack and you get no URs at all, then the game says the next time you open another stack of 10 packs, you're guaranteed one UR instead of one SR. Shinobi Striker 2 could implement a system like this, since it will give off better odds at getting items players want. Sure, you could spend the 20 scrolls and get a guaranteed SS item, but it could end up being a duplicate and that guarantee is still met. A bit messed up, but I'm sure it works, and it's a lot better for players if they feel they have some form of guarantee. Finally, we're talking about the Rio currency. I'm not really ending on a high note, I know, but the Rio you get in the game is pretty worthless. This is because you can buy everything in the shop and still have money left over that is mainly just going to be used for swapping clothing perks. You can buy low value scrolls, but why do that? You can buy the character changing seals, but why do that when they come out of scrolls enough as is? Instead, why not let people spend this Rio on items they missed out on? I do like that they added a feature like this with a major shop update, but getting those tickets requires you to gamble with scrolls and only rewards higher tiered items. Even then, it's not given out much. Maybe the Rio could be used to buy these tickets instead of leaving it up to the scrolls alone? I know these items shouldn't be handed out easily, but leaving them behind a gambling mechanic is a huge problem that's going to cause people to try and find a way to mod these items into their inventory or just find a different game. Anyway, that's all the ideas I have for a Shinobi Striker sequel. Let me know what you guys think down in the comments below. Maybe you guys like some of my ideas, maybe you don't, maybe you want to tweak some of them, maybe you have your own ideas. Let's start a discussion down below. But with that being said, thank you so much for watching the video. If you haven't done so already, make sure to like it, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you'll always be notified anytime I upload. And also, we're going to be doing a Battle Pass giveaway for Fortnite Season 5. It's going to be one of the longest seasons we've had. 4 months! And with customizable weapons, riot shields, flying around on rope daggers, and all this other stuff, you're going to be having a lot of fun. Peter Griffin's also in the game too, so definitely give it a go. He's going to be in the Battle Pass. So if you want, there's my Epic Gamer tag. It's going to be up on the screen. That's going to be both my PlayStation and my Epic tag. So make sure to add me, be a friend, so that way I'm able to give you the Battle Pass. But with that being said, I'll see you in the next video, the next stream, whatever it may be. Peace out!